Very good morning to all. On behalf of the Department of Science, Technology and Environment and Puducherry Council for Science and Technology, I cordially invite all the participants to the today's webinar on crystals and the modern world. This webinar is on the commemoration of the 96th birth anniversary of Dr. Raja Ramanna sir, India's most eminent nuclear physicist. And today's resource person is Dr. Rajesh, Assistant Professor, Department of Physics, SSN College of Engineering, Chennai. So once again, I welcome all the participants to today's webinar. So now I request our Senior Scientific Officer, Dr. Saga Alfred sir, to give the introductory address.
Thank you, Scientific Officer. And at the outset, I welcome all the participants, the expert who is going to deliver his lecture, and all the officials from various state government departments and agencies for this webinar. And today, the 96th birth anniversary of the eminent nuclear physicist, Dr. Raja Ramanna, is being celebrated. And it is appropriate to arrange for a webinar on such occasion titled Crystals and the Modern World. And Puducherry Council for Science and Technology is taking pride on arranging this webinar, which is functioning under the aegis of the Department of Science, Technology and Environment. And Sri Rajaramana was born on January 25th, 1925 in Tiptur, Karnataka. Came from a rather privileged background and has held several various important positions. A key nuclear physicist in his career. He has acclaimed various positions at various levels and being noted the director in Bhabha Atomic Research Center, Director General in the Defense Research and Development Program, Chairman in the Atomic Energy Commission, Vice President in Indian National Science Academy, and Director in the National Institute of Advanced Studies. And has played a major role in setting up the Center for Advanced Technology at Indore and Variable Energy Cyclotron Center at Kolkata. And for his achievements, he has acclaimed laurels and won prizes honored by Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Prize for Science and Technology in the year 1963, Padma Shri in 1968, Padma Bhushan in 1973, and Padma Vibhushan in 1975. Though he is not now with us and passed on September 24th, 2004, India will always remain indebted to this great, eminent nuclear physicist. And on this occasion, we have arranged a webinar, and the technical session is handled by Dr. P. Rajesh, of Scientist Professor, Department of Physics of SSN College of Engineering, Kalavakam, Kanchipuram. And he has got many professional recognition, awards, fellowship, and has presented many papers in national and international conferences. And his research interest is on the same field of crystals for radiation detectors, UV filters, and lasers. And having found an appropriate person to deliver this webinar, it's a great pride for, once again, for Puducherry Council for Science and Technology for holding such a webinar on this auspicious day. I think this webinar will be of immense useful and support for not only for the general publics as well as the students and even for the research peoples to take note of it. And thank you for the opportunity provided. And before we start the technical session, I request all the participants to please mute your mic as well as close your video for free flow of data. And at the end, during discussion, you can make it live. I think you all will cooperate. Please. Thank you. Now I hand over the platform to Dr. P. Rajesh, Assistant Professor. Sir, you can take over and you can deliver the expert lecture. Please.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you all. Thank you for the nice introduction. I am just sharing the screen now. Can you see the slide now?
Yes, sir. You can see the slide.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for the nice introduction, sir. And first of all, I would like to express my sincere thanks to the Director, Department of Science, Technology and Environment, Government of Puducherry, and the organizing team members for giving me this opportunity to introduce the fascinating field of physics on the observance of birth anniversary of Dr. Raja Ramanna, such a great nuclear scientist. I am very proud to deliver an invited talk on the crystals on his birth date. This is Rajesh from SSN College of Engineering. The title of my today's presentation is Crystals and the Modern World. So in this talk, I'll be speaking about, just wait a minute, there is a power fluctuation here. Okay. Yeah. I'll be speaking about what are crystals and what is the importance of crystals, that is why we need crystals, where we are in the crystal growth, and of course, what is the day-to-day applications of crystals. And this is the outline of my presentation. Introduction, and sometimes I will be spending the time with importance of single crystals, and thereafter crystal growth. Especially I am going to show you number of crystals grown by the desired direction, and I'm not going in detail. Just I will be giving the outlines because this is a talk for the general audience. And of course, after the growth of the crystals, we need to characterize the crystals for the applications. The characterization part also will be discussed. And finally, the different applications of single crystals will be also discussed. So as a crystal grower, I would like to start the talk with a particular statement. So in the modern world, the development of science and technology in many areas has been achieved through the growth of single crystals. So we are in need of large size single crystals, which is very much essential for the device fabrications, and the efforts are taken to grow large size single crystals in short duration at the same time with lesser cost. Okay. And the crystal growth is increasingly important requirement in materials such as in many places like semiconductors, superconductors, transducers, polarizers, radiation detectors, etc. So here we are especially working with semiconductors and radiation detecting materials. And this talk is, as I said, this is for the general audience. I would like to start from the fundamental. So we can classify the matter with three categories, solids, liquids and gases. And here we are interested in solids. We can further classify the solids into two types. The first one is crystalline solid and non-crystalline solid. The non-crystalline solid, amorphous. So here you can see a number of examples for the amorphous, like everything is amorphous in structure. What is that? Wood, glass or whatever it may be, that is belong to the amorphous. But the crystalline is a special class of materials. We need to manufacture that just a minute. Crystal structures. Actually, we have to develop the crystal structures. Simply it is not possible to get the crystal structure by nature. I am going to show you number of nature ground crystal also, but it is not sufficient. Okay, so crystalline and non-crystalline solids. So what is that crystalline solid? So a crystal or crystalline solid is a solid material whose constituent atoms or molecules or ions are arranged in an orderly repeating pattern extending in all three spatial dimensions. So the crystals are nothing but the regular arrangement of atoms in a three-dimensional space. Okay, so technically it's a regular arrangement of atoms. And further, a crystalline material can be either a single crystal or polycrystal. So you can have, if you are having only one grain boundary, that will be comes under that single crystals, and if you are having multiple grain boundaries, then it will come under the polycrystals. So that is what given here. The examples are, so many examples are there. Suppose if you are taking the metallic crystals, copper, silver, aluminum, magnesium, so many other things are there. In the non-metallic crystals, silicon, germanium, carbon. So these are the examples. And of course, that non-crystalline solids, if I said that, if I say crystals are regular arrangement of atoms, in the other side, amorphous, it is the arrangement of atoms are irregular in the case of amorphous. They are randomly distributed. So they do not have directional properties, and they are called as isotropic substances. So when you are speaking about the isotropic, you can immediately understand that what is the nature of the crystals. The crystals are anisotropic. Okay. So the non-crystalline solid, they have the wide range of melting point and do not possess a regular shape. You can have a number of examples for that. And of course, this is a typical diagram explaining that what is crystal and how the structure. Very simple, just to understand. So here you can see this is a single crystal structure, just to understand only. Okay, so this is a regular arrangement of atoms here, and here also you can see there are regular arrangement of atoms, but this is not a single crystal. This is polycrystal. So here you can see there is a definite grain boundary which is separating the one grain with another grain. So whereas in the case of single crystals, there will be only one grain, right? And of course, in the case of amorphous, irregular arrangement of atom is present. And this is the example of exact 2D structure of crystal material, and this is a 3D structure of a symbol structure I am showing. And again, single crystal, 2D, 3D. This is the amorphous. Okay, so randomic arrangement. And of course, when you are speaking about that crystals and its properties, we need to understand the fundamental properties. The crystals have sharp melting points, and they have long range positional order. And of course, the crystals are anisotropic. Anisotropic means, so you are having that single crystal. It has three different planes. I'm going to show you number of crystals. You can see the different planes and all. So in which, suppose if you are checking the property in the one direction, and you cannot expect the same property in the another direction in the another plane. Okay, so there will be a change in the properties. And of course, the crystal exhibit the birefringence, and some crystals exhibit the piezoelectric and ferroelectric effect also. So I'll be showing number of applications for the piezoelectric and ferroelectric effect in our future slides. And silicon crystal and ruby crystal. So without silicon crystal, there is no semiconducting field. Without semiconducting field, there is no electronic industry. Nowadays, we are easily speaking with the laptop, computers, and mobile phones everywhere. We are using that. So the base is silicon single crystal. Okay, so without that, there is no electronic industry. Similarly, ruby crystal. So ruby crystal is the pioneer of nonlinear optics field, and without nonlinear optics, there is no laser industry. So without laser,
Sir, your voice is muted.
I don't know why it is muted. So from where, sir, actually?
Sir, from nonlinear optics.
Here, then it is fine, sir. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so the ruby crystal, this is the pioneer of nonlinear optics field, and without nonlinear optics, there is no laser industry, and without lasers, nowadays there is no medical industry and many other applications also. Okay, and these are all some of the nature ground single crystals, and gypsum, quartz, so many crystals are grown by the nature. Okay, so but we are not sufficient with the nature ground single crystals. For the day-to-day applications, we are in need of large size single crystals. So we are developing the crystals in the laboratories also. So here you can see is a wonderful crystals that's grown by nature. These are some of the snowflake crystal structures, and this is just I am showing for the understanding of the people, the layman. So how does that crystal structure will look like? Okay, so this is the external morphology like this. If you are cutting the crystals everywhere, you can see that the equal regular arrangement of atoms. And this is one of the large size natural ground single crystals. You can see that spectacular freely developed gypsum crystals up to 12 meter. This is very difficult to investigate such a kind of huge crystals. The person who investigated this particular cave, crystal cave, was awarded by the prestigious Schieber Prize during that last conference, which was held at Japan. Okay, so the main chamber contains giant selenite single crystals and some of the world largest single crystals ever found. So here you can see that is from Mexico. And how many of you think that the diamond has a better glittering nature? Here you can see the light of the deserts, the world's largest faceted Jerusalite gem. This is also a crystal. So here you can see that I'm just playing a video just to show that the glittering nature of that particular gem. So see, it's a priceless stone. You can see that. See, when you are shining the light on it, it is glittering like anything. So the world's largest faceted Jerusalite gem. See that carat, 898 carats from Namibia. That is that it has a great light internal fire. It is greater than the diamond. And these are all some of the silicon single crystals, largest single crystals in the world laboratory. That is, you can see that this is grown by directional solidification and Czochralski technique. And here there is another crystals grown by directional solidification technique, and this is the applications of solar cells. And these silicon single crystals cut into different way, that is wafers, and they are using the same for the fabrication of solar cells. And these are some of the day-to-day applications. And of course, I am just showing that gemstone industry also in the particular talk, because this is also belong to that crystal category. The gemstone industry in India has a large export potential and also massive internal market, especially here in India. So many people are interested to wear that gemstones. And today among the various gemstones, cubic zirconia is dominating the industry because it imitates the natural diamond. Okay, so this is also comes under the category of crystals. And here you can see that the beautiful Alexandrite crystals, and this is doped with something. And this slide is very, very important. And in technically speaking, this is connecting the different areas, like the crystal growth is connecting the physics, chemistry, and the electrical engineering people. Okay, so in foreign countries, mostly in Japan, Taiwan, Germany, in so many other countries, the electrical engineering people are working with the crystal growth. Okay, they are growing technologically important crystals like gallium arsenide, lithium indium selenide, silicon, and lithium niobate for the device fabrications. So that is one of the important field which is connecting the science and engineering here. So the ability to grow the high quality crystals has become the essential criterion for the competitiveness of nations. And of course, this is another important thing. So the new materials are the basis of solid state research and device technology. That is one of the important field which is connecting the new materials are not usually discovered by the device engineers, especially the device engineers are the high quality crystals has become so essential criterion for the competitiveness are not usually discovered by the device engineers, and of course this is another important thing. So the new materials are the basis of solid state research and device technology. That is one of the important field which is connecting the new materials are not usually discovered by the device engineers, especially the device engineers and the high quality crystals has become so essential criterion for the competitiveness are not usually discovered by the device engineers, and of course this is another important thing. The new materials are the basis of solid state research and device technology. That is one of the important field which is connecting the new materials are not usually discovered by the device engineers, especially the otherwise crystals has become so essential area for the competitiveness are not usually discovered by the device engineers, and of course that's what they here. Though the ordinary crystals can be grown from relatively simple equipment, but some technologically important materials for device applications require some sophisticated instruments. So we are growing some so this is another one important slide and interesting slide. So in the world, 80% of the people are working with crystals. So that silicon and gallium arsenide, such a kind of technologically important crystals can be grown by the melting room. So in the world, 80% of the people are working with the melting room, and some 5% of the things are low temperature solution growth, and the remaining by some other methods. But unfortunately, in India, 80% of the people are working with the solution growth. But in the solution growth also, there are so many applications. But if you want to grow technologically important crystals, you have to shift in the world. 80% of the people are working with the melting, and this is the nature is growing crystals. We are growing crystals, and in the human body is also growing the single crystals. If the human body started growing single crystals, then it is very dangerous. You must be very, very careful. And the common example for the crystals in the body is kidney stones. Okay, so many people have affected by that. And if you are not drinking water properly, then the people will be having that stones in the kidney. And similarly, the another part is goat. Here, the segregation of the urate on that stones, that the joints, that will become like a stone. Okay, so the painful inflammation of the skin. Okay, so many people have affected by that. And if you are not drinking water properly, then the people will be having that stones in the kidney. And similarly, the another part is goat. Here, the segregation of the urate on that stones, that the joints, that will become like a stone. Okay, so the painful inflammation of the skin. Okay, so many people have affected by that. And if you are not drinking water properly, then the people will be having